Hello and welcome to the Money Marketing Podcast. I'm Kimberly Dondo, Digital Content Manager, and we are back for a slightly delayed end of month podcast. But I have to say September was a very busy month for everyone in the editorial team, so fitting this in was quite difficult. But we still wanted to do it for everyone. So if everyone else could introduce yourselves, that would be great.
Michael, acting editor of Money Marketing.
Hi, I'm Lois Vallely, Chief Reporter.
Hi, I'm Mohamed Musatsuri, reporter.
I'm JB Onrio, reporter.
Okay, awesome. As I mentioned, September was quite a busy month for all of us, and we ended that month with with Money Marketing Interactive London, as well as the Money Marketing Awards that evening. So how did you guys find it? Obviously, Mike, you were taking on during the conference, you were giving, starting off the day and ending the day. What was that experience like for you?
Interesting. I'm glad it's over.
Yeah.
But I'm very glad to have that feather in my cap. My main kind of goal was to make my welcome speech go well. So I rehearsed that, and I think it went down well. And then as the day went on, it got a bit easier. But I kind of did the welcome speech and then introduced someone else. And I went into the press room and I said, pretty much to Lois, I'm done now. And then she reminded, no, you're not. You've got to do all the rest of the conference and moderate a panel in an afternoon. And I just realized that I was so focused on just getting that welcome speech right that I kind of what would be the word? Not forget, but
you were just hyper focused on that one.
Hyper focused on that bit, yeah. And I think that focus was right, because my view was that if I get that bit right and set the tone well, then the rest of the day should flow well as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of put my focus.
And I think it did like set the tone, and everything went well. I mean, I'm not trying to like spoil what Lois said in her speech in the evening at the awards, but both of you are kind of talking about like the doom and gloom that we're currently, the cloud that we're all under. But at the same time, people were still like laughing about it.
Yeah. It was good, yeah.
Yeah. Good. So how did you find it, Lois? Kind of starting off the awards, that's quite a big deal.
I will be honest, I've never experienced nerves like that in my life. I don't usually get nervous before things, like I've done quite a lot of panel chairing and stuff. I've never really got nerves, but honestly, standing by the stage just before I walked on, I don't even remember what people said to me just before the speech. I don't remember what music I walked on to. I was just so nervous, and I have to thank the Money Marketing Events team, who were, especially Charlotte, who were super good with me in that state, as I was sort of going, no, I don't want to do it. Can you do it, please? But I got on the stage and put my glasses on, and then I calmed down. And I think I was very surprised everyone just went quiet. Usually at those events that I've been to, people just talk over the host, but everyone just went completely silent. And I was like, no, please keep talking. But actually I was glad, yeah. And then as soon as I started, I was fine, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it was a big high. I know it wasn't the Oscars or anything, but it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, no, it's our Oscars. It's
exactly
our version of the Oscars.
Yeah, but that was good, Louis. I mean, that was like a tour de force, I mean, as I said previously, I mean, you delivered a powerful speech, I mean, when the whole hall was laughing and paying attention, and kind of like following every word you were saying,
Yeah, I got quite a few compliments after.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, so well done. Yeah, so that was really good. Yeah.
Very good, Lois.
And I think it helped that I dyed my hair pink. You can't see it on a podcast, but look at all my photos and you'll see it.
No, that day you turned out well. I mean, that day you kind of like, 5-star. I mean, your dress,
thanks,
necklace,
Mama
your hairstyle, everything. Nobody came across. It came across, So everything just, was just spot on, So I think
it was just really fun that Momadou for once wasn't the best dressed.
Exactly. That was definitely you, Louis. That night, well dressed, yeah, well done. That was good.
Okay, awesome. Obviously, maybe it's something that the other reporters, Momatu, JB, it's something for you to possibly look forward to. Hosting panels or, I don't know, kicking off our conferences.
Well, that's a very high bar to kind of like reach. I think Mike and JB, did a fantastic job. With presenting,
Mike and Lois,
with the moderation.
Not when you said Mike and JB. I assume you meant Mike and Lois.
No, Mike and sorry, did I say JB?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, Mike and sorry, my fault. Yeah, you guys did a fantastic job. In terms of the moderation, in terms of the timekeeping. It was a well-organized event, So well done, for the first time.
And I think on being well organised, I think we should give out a plug to our events team who did a great job. Very, very well done. Round of applause to our events team.
Well done, events. Yeah.
I think, especially moving from day to night, and that the whole day for us was exhausting, but we got kind of turned up on the day. They were there, getting stuff prepped days before. So I can only imagine how much effort went into that. And they really, everything went seamlessly. There was nothing.
Indeed. Exactly.
No, it's great. Yeah. And when we were all allowed to just leave and be really, really tired on Friday, they were still having to clear up and get things tied up.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have no idea what time they left that evening, because I left around midnight, I think.
Yeah, same.
So they probably had later. Oof. But yeah, very, very good events. Okay, so let's talk about what you guys covered in September. What stood out to you, JB? You've been quiet, so I'm picking on you first.
So it's not something we've covered in depth, but it was part of the mini budget.
Mm-hmm.
I found interesting the government extended the sunset clause for venture capital trust, EIS and SEIS. So it's something that's been demanded by the venture capital industry for a while. It didn't pan out in the previous budget, but it happened this time. And I guess it was the only segment of the financial services industry that was happy after the mini budget.
It was the only, wait, sorry, what did you say? It was the only section that was...
The only segment of the financial services industry that seemed to be happy after the mini budget.
Oh, right. How did it affect them? It affected them positively?
Yes, because let's say under the previous rules, so this kind of investment schemes had a deadline which was in 2025, but it's been extended beyond this date.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it came as a relief for the actors in this sector.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that stood out to me, it's very recent. It's actually from Friday. There's a significant portion of firms that don't really understand consumer duty, which I find interesting.
There's a significant portion?
Yeah, something like 10% of firms claim they don't understand consumer duty and they don't know how to implement it.
Oh, and are there any steps these people are taking to understand it, or?
So I know that the Financial Ombudsman Service will publish study cases for to help firms to better understand the new rules.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's just my point of view, but I can understand them because from what I could read from the consultation paper, there's no specific objective that firms have to reach. It's just, in short, from what I understood, being fair and value for money for customers.
Mm-hmm. It's just guidelines.
Yeah, what does it mean concretely? What does there's no tangible objective, I would say.
Right. Yeah. So their lack of understanding is bizarre, I guess.
I think the FCA is holding information webinars for companies from what I've heard. I know a few people who have attended them. There's been quite a few about different sections of the consumer duty and what they mean for companies. So I don't know if that'll help maybe get that 10% down.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's always going to be a percentage of people who say, I have no idea what this is.
Are they trying to understand?
No, that's what I was trying to say before, because 10% is kind of a small number in my mind. So that just seems like the 10% that aren't bothered.
Although that's 10% of all companies, presumably, JB, not just 10% of advisors.
Companies, yes, indeed. Not
so it's not just financial advisors that have to take into account their consumer duty.
Well. So Lois, what about you? What stood out for you in September that you worked on?
Well, I'm afraid I've been continuing my trolling of Aberdeen. Sorry, Aberdeen. I wrote another story about some more advisors leaving. I'm trying to sort of get to the bottom of why. Again, I kind of do know, but because I haven't really spoken to the company in great depth about it, I won't say that on this podcast.
You're going to start stalking Aberdeen at every conference you attend.
They'll stop inviting me. No, I don't mean to attack them, but I do just want to know what's going on, because loads of advisors do seem to be leaving and it seems to be ramping up. So yeah, maybe some advisors are joining too. I haven't heard anything about advisors joining, but maybe they have been. But yeah, 3 more left sort of early or mid-September. So that was probably the biggest news story I wrote, because in all honesty, I've been very focused on Awards. So I sort of haven't been on the news as much this month, but I'll get back on it next month.
You mean October we can expect?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I wasn't on it much in September.
Yeah.
I'll get back on it in October.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the September issue as well? Or
what stood, well, we talked about it a little bit in our last end of month podcast, but you can go more in depth if you want.
So I interviewed Richard Romer-Lee from who's CEO of Square Mile. And he had some really interesting thoughts on the sector. I particularly liked talking to him about consolidation. He was going through with me all the different types of consolidation there are in the market. And he believes it's something that's going to continue, certainly in the short to medium term. And he also mentioned, because I know lots of people, well, some people I've spoken to really don't like certain types of business models that are consolidating. So, for example, they don't like the fact that, big providers and life companies are becoming more vertically integrated and getting their own financial advice firms and financial advice arms and things. But Richard was saying, as long as they're still doing what's right for the customer, it doesn't really matter what the business model is. So I'm not going to comment on which ones are and which ones aren't doing right for the customer, because I don't 100% know. But yeah, as long as they are still, if the client's front of mind, it doesn't really matter what the business model is. So I thought that was quite interesting. It was really good to talk to him. He's he knows a lot. So that was great. I also wrote a special report, which we did in association with Pru, about smoothing of investments, which is an interesting one, because I think when you first say, I'm not going to try and explain exactly how it works on this podcast, because I'm not an investment expert, but essentially, instead of funds and investments going up and down like that, smooth funds sort of go smooth. Well, the clue's in the name. They sort of more smoothly go up or smoothly go down as markets change. And the idea is to give the client a more sort of smooth return. So the danger is that clients think that it's going to shield them against like actual big drops in the market. But if the market drops, the whole market drops. So all it shields them against is volatility. So they don't see their investments or funds go up and down quite as much. And it's particularly good for clients in decumulation, because it'll give them a more sort of, month. If they're taking an income from the fund, it'll give them less of an up and down, basically. I don't know how well I've explained that, but I found it quite interesting. In my head, it makes sense.
No, it makes sense to me. I think, that does sound really interesting. And if you want to know more, you can also listen to our series that we're currently doing with Prue. So you can hear more from the experts.
Yeah, there's one on smoothing dropping soon. So yeah.
Awesome. So what about you, Momadu? What did you work on in September that stood out to you, whether it's in the mag or online?
The mini budget, I would say, that was a very big story for us. I mean, September, because of
it's a big day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we thought it was, kind of like a, small budget, like a mini, based on the title, but it seems like a mega budget, very seismic. I mean, with all the stuff, that was announced by the Chancellor, tax cuts and corporation tax, reversal, and so on and so forth, So I think that was the biggest story we, covered for this month, And my patch, which is platform, I think we had Paminion, Paminions seem to be like the big star, so for now, it seems like the boys in the hood. The how do you call it? The new kid in the block. They seem to be making progress in terms of acquisition.
I like calling them boys in the hood now. So we should continue that. We should continue calling them boys in the hood.
No, new kid in the block. I want to say. So that one came just get that one off, huh? Please.
That was so good. Sorry to have completely derailed, but that was such a good continue moment. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, that's my mistake. Yeah, but they've been doing acquisition. They bought a farm based in the Midlands. EB, that brought in, I think, 1.9 billion into the farm, and that's a very powerful move, on Paminion side, And it seems like Paminion, they seem to be getting everything right, for now, it's like that's the farm to watch or to beat, and at the platform, awards, I think they won best advice farm, of the year, so I think that was something, something good,
That's the other thing, sorry to jump, we have to say is that the platform awards, platform awards, Katie got platform journalist of the year.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and Momadu is second, and Amanda was also on the list.
Yeah. So, money marketing was just dominating that particular category. And it was going to be difficult, but you came in second, which is quite a big deal.
It is, and
you can only think that because Katie's out right now, so that first place, you're gonna walk right into it next year.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, but if there's anyone, I should lose to. I think Katie is the one. She's all around journalist, very fantastic, other stuff, and I'm trying to fill that big shoes, So hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, she came second last year, So so hopefully things will change for us. For me, for next year. But Katie did a fantastic job and well-deserved winner.
Yeah. September was also a really great month for us, I guess, as well. Picking up all these trophies like it's nothing. So what about you, Mike? Obviously you were very focused on, the speech and everything, but what else? And also I know that juggling a lot in September.
Yeah. I'm kind of very happy that September's over now, somewhat relieved, because it was all kind of climaxing at the end of the month with this mini budget that didn't turn out to be so many, and then the awards and the conference in London. No, I think for me the big thing, like Momadu was saying, was the mini budget. I thought I had a sense that was going to be pretty big, and what interested me most about that was what happened to level of sterling and the gilt market, and then the subsequent intervention by the Bank of England, purchasing 65 billion level of sort of UK government debt around that intervention, and they put a timestamp on it, and that they'll intervene until the 14th of October, and we'll see if they continue to intervene after that. I thought that for me was just absolutely massive, and quite concerning from my perspective, because I think if you're a government, the moment you start doing things which affect the level of sterling, the currency, and affect the cost of borrowing, which you can borrow from international markets, is pretty dangerous. So I thought that was quite extraordinary, and I didn't have a good feeling when I went out for my lunchtime walk after we stopped covering, and the subsequent week's events sort of vindicated that feeling. So I think and they've just reversed the U-turn they've done. The U-turn of 45% this morning. So they've reinstated the top rate tax. So that just shows sort of how, in the space of like kind of a week, or just slightly more than a week, of the sort of kind of chaos, I think is maybe a good way to spin and unleashed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting to me that it took them such a long time, because I think people were already kind of, as soon as it happened, there was a lot of backlash against it. But it makes me intrigued to see what they'll do for the actual autumn budget. Which, when is it meant to happen? October, November?
I don't know. Well, that's I don't know. That's an interesting question. So this morning, Kwasi Kwarteng was on. It's Monday, 3rd of October. He was on Radio 4. He had the big 8:10 slot. So when they interview a prime minister or chancellor, they always have the big kind of 8:10 to 8:30 slot. And he was saying we're meant to be expecting a kind of OBR fiscal kind of plan forecasting within a few weeks. He said originally it was meant to be November, but Kwarteng sort of within a few weeks. So maybe that's been brought forward.
Yeah, and I can imagine that now they're maybe the mini budget was just them testing the waters to see what they could do.
Well, they've made an impact, for sure. Not in the way that they wanted.
No,
really blowing up the sterling and gilt markets. But yeah, we'll see. So the budget, they said we'll have an OBR kind of details on how we'll fund all this. November, and then Kwarteng's talking within a few weeks. And when will they get the actual budget? Will they do it at the same time as that? I don't know. So it's all quite uncertain at the minute.
Did you see Liz Truss threw Kwasi Kwarteng under the bus?
Yes.
About the 45p rate cut.
I mentioned that, Ms. Lewis. I mentioned that yesterday on the.
She said something like, because I can't remember what she was talking on, but I just saw the clip on Twitter. The interviewer asked her if the rest of the cabinet had been briefed on this or asked about this, and she said, no one else knew. It was just the Chancellor just made that decision, with her sort of psychopathic facial expression on.
What is that?
Wow.
And then Kwarteng
he's been forced to U-turn on it.
Yeah. He was. He had the main slot then today. On the morning today program. 8:10, and he was asked about that. Your boss basically kind of said this and did this. What do you have to say about it? And it was quite kind of. I don't think it was a very pleasant interview for him, to be honest.
I mean, I don't think they're going to have any pleasant interviews anytime soon, to be perfectly honest. I just would not want to be in their shoes, wouldn't even think about it. But yeah, wow. I'm interested to see. I would actually like to be present on the next budget. I was away going to celebrate my friend's marriage that weekend, so I completely missed that day. It just didn't. It almost didn't happen for me until someone mentioned that it had happened, and I was like, "Oh my God, let's see what's going on." But then I didn't want to get distracted from happiness.
No.
So I didn't focus too much. Yeah. I stayed away from, news sites and also social media just to keep my mood levels high. But yeah, so we've put September to bed, and we've also put the October issue to bed as well. Again, when we were talking about how busy September was, and especially towards the end of the month, that's because we were also in the same week that we were doing the conference and the awards. The mag was also going to press as well. So as acting editor, Mike, how did you find that?
What the whole
everything?
Oh, busy.
Going to press.
Very, very busy. I mean, I'm just glad it's over now. But I think everyone was great and pulled through. The following Friday, which was press day, when we had to get the pictures and the awards over, I think we were all pretty tired.
I don't really remember Friday because I was so tired. I don't remember anything I said to anyone. So my sister came over in the evening, and I don't remember anything I said to her. So she had a fun evening.
Yeah. But it's all done. It's all good. The feedback on the awards was good. Lois did a great job with the welcome speech for the awards. The conference went well. I think for me, what I was really happy about with the conference was that all of the sessions I was in, every session had questions from the floor.
Yeah.
So which was great. So the audience engagement was really good, and we had some really good questions. So the participation was great. Which is always something that I'm kind of proud of, or a little bit worried about.
What the session's about is also engaging. So yeah,
exactly. So I took a lot of heart from that. But yeah, no, it was very busy. And
Mike, also you did the cover feature as well, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I did the cover feature. So I kind of, the way my month worked out was well, because I usually have a sixth sense of when I'm getting pincered. So my kind of philosophy is just don't try and have two big things on the go, or three big things, or all do immediately.
Uh-huh.
So I managed to get the cover out of the way fairly early in a lot of the mag stuff, which was great. So we kind of had a clear run. Can you give us
a little sneak preview of what the cover is about before it drops?
Yeah, it was a bit conceptual. It's how we can clean up the data mess in financial services. Mm-hmm. And it was just sort of taking stock of a number of big initiatives. So pensions dashboard is coming, consumer duty is coming, and there are a couple of big bills, which I can't remember the name of. I think actually, one is the financial services bill in Parliament, which should all of these things together should hopefully make providers, which say don't have very good service levels, don't have very good data, have poor customer service, that we write a lot about. Monmadou's done loads of stories on them, your Mercers and Clerical Medicals. Apologies to those companies for naming them, but those are names which came just to mind. That sort of poor kind of behavior, business practice could maybe be corrected if data is improved, from these initiatives which are coming through. So that's what it's really, really about. And I used the fact that we have a new king and a new prime minister and a new government and all these crises to say, hey, although people worry during a crisis, it can also be a spur to get your act together and not be complacent and fix some of these things. So that was the kind of what I was trying to look at in the piece.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds interesting. And I think everyone should look forward to getting it. Either subscribe to the actual magazine, the physical copy, which every physical copy is always so beautiful. So I would highly, highly recommend you get the physical copy, but you can also get the digital issue as well on the website.
And shout out to our production team for making it look so beautiful.
Exactly. It's a whole team effort over here, and we like to give appreciation to everyone. JB, what about you? What are you? Is there anything in the October issue or anything that you are looking forward to covering in October?
So I wrote a feature for the ESG in Focus, which looks into what I would call the drawback against ESG in the US, and whether it will have consequences in Europe / in the UK.
Okay. And is there anything else you want to tease on that?
Not really.
Or are you just going to do the classic, read it?
Yeah, I'm afraid I would say too much. So yeah, read it.
That's fair. That's a safe option. That's a safe bet. So always recommend read JB's work anyway. It's fantastic, as the rest of the team's work also is. And Mamadou, what about you?
If I may just add something.
Huh?
If I may just add something, I guess, this, let's say this drawback against ESG was bound to happen someday, I guess.
I mean, there's going to be growing pains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, I think that's all.
Okay. Still trying not to give too much away. Just go read it, guys.
Yeah, and not to say something stupid either.
Yeah, fair. Mamadou, what about you? Is there anything that you worked on in October that you want to mention, or is there anything?
No, nada. Sorry.
Oh, you don't have it. You don't have any. What about something that you're looking forward to covering?
I mean, there was something. That was planned for the mic, but because Amanda came with something, more urgent and pressing. She was given the chance to kind of do a comment piece.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do, I wanted to do a comment piece on advisors, and clients. Given all this economic turmoil, so I wanted to do, something on that. But that will come now. On the next
in the next issue. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Well, that's fair. But I guess everyone will just have to look out for everything else that you put up on a regular basis on the website, which is also really great as well.
Okay, thank you. Very kind.
So let's end it with Lois. What you've been darting all over the country. You must have. So not just the countries. What is there to look forward to from you in October?
So for the October issue, I've been working on an interview I did with Canada Life UK's CEO, Lindsay Ricks, which I'm not going to say too much about, but it was really great to talk to her. And I also manage, usually in my photos, when the photographer comes along with us, I look like I want to kill the person I'm interviewing. I never do, but I just look really stern. I managed to look happy in the ones in my photos with Lindsay. So that was something.
That might just be because you actually liked her and you didn't like anyone else.
I liked all the others. Don't listen, Andy and Richard. No, I like everyone. But no, I've gone on very well with Lindsay. And I did mention it in my awards speech. I quoted her to try and get some, because I'd gone through all the doom and gloom of what's going on and everyone was starting to laugh sort of mirthlessly. So I ended with something she said, which I thought was really upbeat and good, which was, sometimes I worry we talk ourselves into more doom and gloom. We get through every crisis and we'll get through this one. We'll come out the other side and the country, our businesses and our society will grow again. So it's a really nice sort of way to end both the speech and the interview. But yeah, for the rest of the interview, check out the October magazine.
Yeah. I mean, that is very good. Those are like wise words that usually like leaders should impart, which obviously she is a leader. But I just feel like we don't hear it from our leaders all that much. I think I'd feel a lot better if like people in leadership roles were saying stuff like that, rather than just leaving us to our own thoughts and being like, running around like headless chickens. And is there anything else that you might be working on in October that you're excited for?
I did actually want to mention another thing I did in September, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I did a podcast with Chris Budd and Ruth Sturkey, who are the chair and vice chair of the Institute for Financial Wellbeing, which used to be called the Initiative, but got institute status. And it was just really good to talk to them. Chris Budd was actually at our conference and awards as well. And there was just one particularly interesting thing. So he talked quite a lot about, he sees over the next, 5 to 10 years, philanthropic planning coming to the fore. So that's, people who are really rich, sort of advisors helping them with where to put their money for philanthropic purposes, so charities and so on. And I don't know how many of you on this podcast were fully listening to his speech. I hope you all were.
I did.
But he said, he had a really interesting, which he also said on my podcast, question, which was, so I'll try and get this right. Taking into account that a ultra high net worth person is someone who has £10 billion worth of assets or more.
10 million.
10 million?
So 10 million, isn't it?
It's a lot, anyway.
Yeah.
Multi-millions, if not billions. How much do you think they donate to charity on average globally per year? I know you know, Mamadou. JB, do you know? Were you listening?
I think you mentioned it the other day, but I forgot.
Anyway, I guessed 50,000. I know a couple of people at our event guessed 50,000, 100,000. But what is it then, Mamadou?
£400.
£400 a year. And it's largely not because they don't want to be
that was shocking
donating to charities.
When I had
it's just because they sort of don't know what to do with it. So that's quite an interesting consideration for financial planners in the future, helping ultra high net worth people with where to invest their money or where to donate their money philanthropically.
I feel like if you're that ultra high net worth, couldn't you just build a school? And you can literally you can build and fund a school.
Exactly. A hospital. Yeah, but £400, I mean, that was shocking. Yeah. When I had it, I was like, wow, yeah.
I know, it's crazy. So
because when you look at adverts from Save the Children or I don't know, Red Cross, they tell you this is all it costs to feed a family in this very poor nation. You could literally yourself. I know that this is probably a lot of work and maybe because you're so busy, because you're so high net worth, but if you really wanted to, I think you could. And
I'm sure people really famous ultra high net worth people, I know Bill Gates does a lot. I don't know if he's built a school, but people like Bill Gates and J.K. Rowling, they do a lot of charity stuff. But no, it's just an interesting one, I think.
But I think it's one of those if they wanted to, they would.
Yeah.
That's usually used for advice in terms of dating. If they wanted to, they would. But I think in terms of charity, it works as well.
Well, maybe they just don't know what they're doing.
GB?
Am I entitled to an unpopular opinion?
Go for it, Mr. I want to become an investment banker.
They also have the right to don't care their money at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's fine. If you have no empathy and you're cool with that. Go crazy.
I'm not saying that's what I would do because obviously I'm not a high net worth individual. But
no.
But if you were,
would you have? We still have yet to know if you have empathy, JV. Do you have empathy? You shouldn't even have to think about
exactly.
it.
That's something you were yes or no, yeah.
Oh, this podcast got psychological.
In doubt, I would say no.
Okay, cool. Thanks for letting us know. Now we know that you're well on your way to becoming that high net worth individual.
Exactly.
Not that I'm saying that all high net worth individuals lack empathy. But there are studies that back it up. You have to have a certain level of
psychopathy.
Yeah, you do. It's an actual there are studies out there. So
yeah, there are.
Ending it on that note so I don't get in trouble.
I wanted to end on the high note of philanthropic planning,
exactly.
But we're going to end it on psychopaths instead.
Well, I mean, it was a high note, but then you let us down a sad note because right now only £400.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's what made me think if they wanted to, they could, and then that's how we ended up here. And I'm sorry, but
our businesses and our society will grow again. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Hopefully. Yeah, but it was fantastic talking to you guys, and I look forward to speaking to you again at the end of October.
Sounds good.
We should do it. We should do this one on Halloween so that it's spooky.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for sitting down with me, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you. Thanks for having us.